Hello and welcome back to our study of Peninei Halacha, the teachings of Eliezer Melamed Shlita. Well, we begin a new week. Here we are, Shavua Shechal Bo Tisha B'Av, and we are studying Inyana Dioma, Halacha L'Maisa. We ask you to please continue davening for Chayalei Tzvah Gana Yisrael, for Shlem L'Chol B'Tzua Yisrael. Save your brothers and sisters in Israel, and we learn each day Lili Nishmat Sar and Daniel Shimon ben Harav Daron V'Shel Shem Kam Damo. The next couple of chapters, going on to the ritual aspect of Tisha B'Av, Kriyas Eicha V'Hash Chashas Ha'or. I didn't pronounce that right, but it means dimming the lights. It's early in the morning. Korim Eicha Achar Tfilas Arvis. We read Eicha, of course, after Marav, so that will be this coming Wednesday night. L'das Rishonei Ashkenaz Mevarchim Al Kriyasa. According to some of the Rishonim in the period of Ashkenaz in Germany, they would make a bracha on the reading, Kvish Mevur Mesechas Sofrim Shemavarchan Al Kriyas Megillas, because it's based on what we have Mesechtas Katanas, Mesechas Sofrim. It says that we do make a bracha. V'yesh Omer Sharak Hashem Megillah Ksuv Al Klaf K'Sefer Torah Mevarchim Al Kriyasa. And some say that only if the Megillah is being read from a klaf, from a parchment like a Sefer Torah, then we make a bracha. Avalem Einek Ksuv Al Klaf Ein Mevarchan Al Kriyasa. But if it's not written on a klaf, we don't make a bracha. Mineged, on the other hand, some say that even if it's written on a klaf, we don't make a bracha. Since this is not actually mentioned in the Talmud Bavli to make a bracha. And as a result of this doubt, this is how many Acharonim paskin. So Lamaisa, so what do we do practically? So most people, Sephardic, most Ashkenazim, all Chasidim, we read Eicha without a bracha. Some Ashkenazim, particularly those that follow the Vinag of the Vilna Gaon, they will read Megillah out of a klaf with a bracha. So you might see this in Yerushalayim, where people follow the Vinag of the Gra. Now again, we have a custom to make the shul a little bit darker on the night of Tisha B'Av, K'moshe Nemar, because the pasuk in Eicha in the third parak says, Ba ma'chashakim hoshivani. Say that very carefully, it's a hard word. That I've made you dwell in the dark. V'chein muva b'medrash, and the medrash in Eicha Rabbah says, She'amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu la'malachi asharis b'shabs churban habayis. Hashem said to the ministering angels in the time of the destruction, Melech basav adam kashu ovel madar kalasos. If a king, a human king, is in mourning, what should he do? Armalo mechabes hapanasim shalo. He says he should darken the luminaries that he has, the lights. So he says, I'll do the same. And the pasuk in Yoel says, Shemesh v'reach chadaru. Kvar mitchilas halayla mechabim chelik me'oras beis hakneses. Already from the beginning of the night, we dim the lights in the shul. V'gam bebatim roy l'mates ha'oras. And the same thing should apply in the homes. We should dim the lights a bit. V'ikar hakpada l'hachshiches ha'or l'kras kriyas megillas eicha. But the main time that we should really be careful of dimming the lights is when we begin to read Eicha. Sha'az nogu l'chabos is kol haneres, and we actually put out most of the lights. Zulas neres bodedim l'kras megillas Eicha, except for those that are needed to read Eicha. Kayom sha'anu regilim l'shtamesh b'toras chashmal, yesh nogu l'fnei kriyas Eicha l'chabos es kol neros hachashmal v'leistayeh beneros. Some people have the custom, since we're all using electricity, electric lights, that we put out the electric lights and we just keep candles lit. V'rabim nogin l'hashir ma'at neros chashmalios l'kros la'oren. And people have the custom, like what we do in our shuls, we just leave enough on that people can read. It's intended to be uncomfortable, enough that people can read, just so they could have it, but it's noticeable that it's darker in the room. The main reading of Eicha is instituted at night, because the pasuk in the very beginning of Eicha says we should cry at nighttime. Some have the custom of reading it after they just do the kinnis in the daytime as well. If we don't have the custom of reading Megillas Eicha in the daytime, it's still a good thing for everyone to read it on his own in the daytime. There's a lot to do during the day, and there's a lot of free time. The next chapter is Anenu Nachem Birchas Konim V'Tachnun. Din Amiras Anenu Kedin Amiras Amiraso B'Sha'ar Tanes Tzibur. The recitation of Anenu, which we have on fast days, is the same as other fast days. We say it in the repetition of the Shemona Esrei in Shachris and Mincha. Hachazan Omer bein Birchas Gol Yisrael and Birchas Rafa'enu. The Chazan says it in between the bracha of Gol Yisrael and Rafa'enu. It's a special insertion there. We'll see in the Sidurim. However, as far as individuals reciting it in the silent Shemona Esrei, we have a difference of opinion. Sephardim, they say it throughout the entire fast day, through all three silent Shemona Esreis. But according to Ashkenaz, we say it only at Mincha. And there's a special recitation in the bracha of Bonei Yerushalayim, a bracha called Nachem. According to Sephardic custom, every time you say Anenu, you would say Nachem. But according to Minig Ashkenaz and some Sephardim, we say it only again when we say Anenu, which is at Mincha. And since it's a special bracha of Nachem, we don't say Bonei Yerushalayim. There's a special ending to that bracha, which is Menachem Tzion Uvanei Yerushalayim, and it's important to look in the Sidurim for the Nusach. It's not a bracha we should know by heart. But Nusach Nachem Yeshna Mishpatim She'enim Matim L'Yerushalayim Shel Zmanenu. Here's an interesting question. The Nusach of Nachem is applied to Jerusalem today, since we have Jerusalem in our possession. So some of the language that we have here, so this is coming from Rav Melamed from an Israeli point of view. Kamo ha'avela bibli baneha v'hashamem me'en yoshev v'hi yosheves roshach hafui kasher ikra akaral shelo yalada. All these negative terms, that it's a mourning without children, it's destroyed, no one is living there, it's all desolate. Ulam ein bidei chachamim zmanenu koch lahaskin k'chol tzibur nusach chadash b'shonim matei shetchinin chachamim. So even though these don't apply to us today, but Chazal don't have the power to reinstitute the language or to change the language. So maybe we could say that this applies to really Har Habayis, the Temple Mount, which is still not in our hands. So he mentions here Nusach Rav Goren, who was the chief rabbi of the IDF, particularly in 1967, in the famous Har Habayit B'Yadeinu, and he had a very, very strong position that after 1967, when we received Yerushalayim back in our hands, that we should change the nusach of Anenu, a very famous machlokas of Rav Soloveitchik, about whether or not we should change the language of Nachem. He says, if people want, Rav Melamed said, if people want to follow that, then they certainly can. Very interesting modern historical machlokas worth looking at. But is it referring to all of Yerushalayim or just the Har Habayit, whatever it is? But certainly, this is just touching upon that, and it's worth looking into. Ein omrim tachnu Tisha B'Av, v'af mincha shel erev Tisha B'Av ein omrim tachnu. We don't say tachnu on Tisha B'Av or even on the mincha beforehand. B'nei Tisha B'Av mikra moed, shenemar kara alai moed lishbor b'achurai. Because the pasuk says that Tisha B'Av is actually called a moed, a bit of a festive time. I know it's kind of antithetical, but that's how it is. This is why actually we don't have Avelim daven for the Amud. We don't say Lam Natzeich either. So Leminig Yotzei Ashkenaz v'chilek miyotzei Sfarad Kodim enim nosim es kapeim b'shachris. According to Ashkenazim and some Sephardim, Kodim don't duchen at Shachris if it's a place where they duchen. Let's say in Eretz Yisrael, Kenemar uvafari schem kapechem alim einay mikem. Einay mikem. The pasuk in Yeshayahu says, U'kederach shekoin aval einu noseh kapap neishe einu semeach v'idiyachol levarach b'shalom. Because a Kohen who is an Avel does not duchen because he is not in a position of simcha and he cannot give a bracha in peace. Some Sephardim have the custom that Kohanim do duchen at Shachris, but Mincha shelifnos erev l'cholam minhagam nosim kapeim. However, at Mincha, everybody agrees that as we begin to rise after Chatzos, everybody agrees that Kohanim would duchen, and that's how we say the bracha of Elokeinu Elokei V'seinu here in Chutz La'aretz. Noagin lomer as hatfila kederach avelim b'mesinas b'kol chalash below chazanas. And the custom on Tisha B'Av is that we daven like mourners do. We daven with a bowed head, without any fanfare, no chazanas, no singing, things like that. And this is how we carry ourselves on Tisha B'Av. So we will see more of this as we go along. So thank you for joining us. Please continue davening for Chayei Tzvagan Yisrael, Chol Shalom Chol B'tzvei Yisrael. Say to your brothers and sisters in Israel. Nishmat and Daniel Shimon Harav Daron L'Shel Shem V'Damel. Thank you so much for joining us. Please be careful this week. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.